Do you need other people's approval? He learned the hard way that after he had all that he had and then lost all that he had, all that he needed was right in front of him the whole time. Sometimes you don't need the entire world to love you. Just one person. Hello, Governor. It's Rakai Steed, Noob from the Ville, and we're going to talk about the greatest showman on earth. But let me tell you a little story first. I remember watching this movie years ago, starring Heath Ledger, called A Knight's Tale. And I was drawn to this story because of the message the story gave. I remember showing this to my students in my social studies classes. I taught middle school, and so my social studies classes, I showed this movie every year. Whether it was 7th grade or 8th grade, it fit when we got to talking about medieval stuff, but I thought it was a good show every year. And the movie was about Heath Ledger was a young guy, and his father was when Heath Ledger was a little boy, his father was a thatcher, which I think it means he repaired roofs. And he sold his son, or basically gave his son to a knight to be his squire, to hopefully his son wanted to be a knight. He saw the knight, performing, and he was like, I want to do that. And his son's like, listen, the way things work is by class, and you're not of noble blood. You can't be a knight, but I can get you close, so I'll give you to this knight and you become a squire. Thing was, his knight wasn't a very good knight, and his knight died. But his little crew, they still needed to compete in this tournament to get paid. So he put on the knight's armor, competed in the tournament, won. And then he got the bold idea. He's like, hey, what if we continue to keep doing this and win some money? And his friends was like, nah, we're going to get caught. Don't do that. It's going to be bad. And he continued to do it anyway. And he gained a little crew. And of course, things being what they are, he had to get some papers to fake saying who he was, that he was of noble blood. And he said he was some made up prince from some made up place. He found a dude that could bullshit with the best of them. Of course, he fell in love with the princess lady in waiting and made her believe in him and his bullshit. But he got found out, and he got punished for it. Even though he had been winning, he had been doing really good. And it just so happened that a knight that he fought earlier, and he did so to let the knight keep his honor. And he did it in such a way, it turns out that this knight is really the real prince of the land or something. And he comes by, and knight's little buddy, he's like, nah, you's a real dude. Knights him. So dude goes back and gets in the tournament to fight the bad guy. Of course, Rufus Sewell's so good at playing a damn bad guy. And of course, he wins the day, blah, blah, blah. But the whole point of that movie was really about changing your stars. If you're at one station in life, can you reach for the stars and attain them? Let's talk about it. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steed, Noob from the Ville. We're here to talk about the greatest showman on earth, featuring a stellar cast, really. Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, Michelle Williams, Zendaya, Zac Efron. It's got quite the cast. Yahya Abdul-Mateen. It's got a hell of a cast. There's a young man who we later come to know as P.T. Barnum. Now, if you don't know who P.T. Barnum is, then apparently you haven't been to a circus. And everyone should know now, in our day and age, it's called the Barnum and Bailey Circus. but apparently it was originally started by P.T. Barnum. He was the son of a tailor, but they were poor. And of course, if you're getting your clothes tailored, then that's only rich people that you're serving. But his father and he were not treated well by the customers that his father had. But he always wanted more. He didn't want this station in life. He wanted more. He fell in love with the young daughter of one of the clients. The father was extremely nasty to him, even slapped fire out his face. Yeah. After many years, he went away and tried to make something of himself. And he came back a respectable gentleman and asked the man, I know I don't have much, but I got big dreams. Can I date your daughter? She never forgot him, so she started dating him. She was in love with him too, and she's like, listen, I don't care what you got. My parents got a lot, and my father's an asshole. So if that's what it takes to have money, I'm not interested. So she went off with him. They fell in love, had some kids, but the whole time he was working small jobs, getting fired, and he wanted more. And he was a bit of a con man, snake oil salesman, but he was a hustler, old school hustler. So he had an idea to feature oddities, kind of like the first Ripley's museum. So he had strange things in there, things people hadn't seen before, giraffes and elephants and stuff, but everything was dead, everything was stuffed. And his daughters told him, you need live action, you need something to pull people in. So he started looking for oddities, curiosities, the bearded lady, the person that looked like a werewolf because they hair grows at a crazy rate. A very, very small man, strong man beyond belief, a very fat man, a very tall man, different animals and things. He turned it into a real show. Now, it might seem like he was making fun and making money at the expense of these folks. But from the movie, I'm not saying real life, from the movie it appeared that he wasn't. They had kind of a little family thing going on. And him and his wife were in it together and things were going good. He still wanted more because he was dealing with a lot of hate from the outside. People that hated on the performers, people that hated on him said that he was a con man, a fraud. And at first, he rolled with it. There's no such thing as bad publicity, but it started to get to him. And I think it was because he saw how it was affecting his wife and his kids. People were nasty to them and mean to them, and he could take it, but it was affecting his daughters. And when he saw people being mean to his daughters or his wife, he didn't want that. He wanted respectability. So he joined up with Zac Efron's character, who was a playwright who wrote these great plays, but he stayed booked, but he kind of hated where his life was, his trajectory, being around all these snobby ass people all the time. So P.T. Barnum struck up a partnership with him, like, hey, I can give you some freedom. You can get away from that, and then you could tell me how to get that crew. In doing that, Zac Efron's character introduced him to the Queen of England. I mean, if you're going to get respectability, you're going to get accepted, you start at the top. So that's what he did. P.T. Barnum found a way to introduce himself to a famous singer, Miss Jenny Lind. She was like that 1800s Celine Dion type. And he knew that if he could get her in front of the right crowds, he could blow the roof off this thing. So he decided to take her on tour. Now, the circus is blowing up. Circus is doing great. But it's still getting more and more protests, more and more hate. And he decided to go on tour with this lady because he was chasing respectability. He even had a falling out with his wife's father because he couldn't wait to rub it in his face. And he just acted a whole ass. Miss Jenny Lind, after being on all these tour dates with him, and he had bet the bank on this, she wanted more. And he was like, he looked like he was feeling it. He looked like he was completely distracted and into her. But at the last minute, he was like, whoa, hold on. I just remembered, I like my wife. I love my wife. Hold on, I got kids. I'm about to risk it all. And that ain't what I won't do. But she's like, oh, you just out here toying with me, playing with my emotions? So on the last little night of the tour, she kissed him in public, set him up for failure. He went home, didn't tell his wife, but the day he got home, the moment he got home, some little ruffians blew up on the circus and burned it to the ground. Just so happens that Zac Efron's character had been putting some money away because he kind of knew how P.T. Barnum was, and he reinvested, and they became 50-50 partners, and they bought a circus tent down on the docks instead of downtown Manhattan. And the P.T. Barnum circus, as we know it, was alive and well. You know how I love my quotes, and I got two. The first one is by Ted Turner, and he says, "You should set goals beyond your reach so that you have something to live for." The second quote is by Benjamin E. Mays, and he says, "It must be born in the mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach." And I'm gonna call this media therapy deep dive, change your stars. You know, changing your stars, as it was explained in A Knight's Tale, or basically changing your station in life, is a concept known all over the world as classism. I know in America it seems like we focus a lot on racism, the difference in the hues of our skin. But classism is a worldwide problem, and we don't know it, but it actually takes precedence over racism. That's just a further way to keep us down, put us in a box. Because once you get past money, because even money itself has class. Old money versus new money. How you made your money. It doesn't matter if you got the same amount as me. It doesn't matter if you got more than me. How did you make it? And people will take the snobby, hoity-toity, bougie asses and tell you that you're not as good as them because you just got your money or because of how you made your money. Classism is alive and well. And here in America especially, we absolutely have the haves and the have-nots, the rich, and it's not even the poor, it's the po. We can't even afford the OR. Middle class is damn near being wiped out as we speak. And then if you want to further break things down, then you have ageism, classism, racism, a whole lot of other damn isms. But classism is number one. Doesn't seem like it, but it is. Now, there's positives and negatives to changing your station in life. You know, the thing about reaching beyond your station is actually a metaphor. And it means that you desire something that is, at least currently, unattainable. So what does that mean? One of the negatives of reaching beyond your station is a lot of people will not do it because you're conditioned to think that way. I don't know about other people, but as a culture, Black people have been conditioned to think we are less than in a lot of different ways. There's people to this day, we are in a new millennium, and there's people to this day that will tell you that the mental acuity of Black people is not on par with Caucasian people, and that is absolutely asinine. And yes, if you hear I'm using those SAT words, just because I can. The founders, the builders, the creators of civilization itself. You take it all the way back to Mesopotamia, to Sumer, to Kush. That was all Africa. But we forget. we forget. When history is his story and is told by the victors. And for a long time, the European continent has been kicking ass and taking names. I don't care, they'll lie, cheat, steal, whatever, and then tell you a new story. You know, with reaching me on your station, there's a certain cynicism, certain pessimism that comes beyond that. And it's very simple. You look at it in other ways, a growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and people will tell you very quickly what you can't do or why you shouldn't do something. They may not show your vision. They may not see what you see. And especially in this world now with the internet and all the things that people are able to do, and yes, things may not be fair, and I don't know if they will ever be fair. But you got a shot. You got the best shot that you had in a long time. Maybe the best shot ever. America is a messed up place, but you can still do what you want to do here. Do you want to become rich? It's possible. It doesn't mean that you will, but it's possible. Do you want to be high society? It's possible. Do you want to be bougie? It's possible. You need to be bougetto if you want. That's bougie and ghetto, just in case, you know, because some of y'all are like, listen, I can't remember. Some of y'all gonna be like, I can't forget where I came from. I'm still hood. Okay. But what if you turn that pessimism into optimism and start focusing on what you can do? Don't let anybody stop you from reaching for your dreams, for going for your dreams. You know the number one person to stop you from your dreams? You. You stop you from your dreams. And I understand when I'm saying this, I'm also speaking life into me too. Procrastination, depression, those things shut you down, low energy. You know, I'm unhealthy, I'm overweight. And that leads into a lot of things, the procrastination, the depression, the low energy, all that shit. Get your mind healthy. Get your body healthy. Get your spirit healthy. Maybe that help get your finances healthy. What is it that you want to do? Because there is no limit to it. Will there be a problem with funds? Yeah, maybe. But how hard have you looked? And I'm not saying that, you know, like, hey, there's a small business loan. We know how banks work. That ain't trying to give you no damn money. There's grants. There's programs. There's all sorts of ways. And maybe you don't go in the front door the way you planned on going the front door. That don't mean the back door ain't open. That don't mean the side window ain't open. Because however you got to get in, get in. You can change your stars. If you believe, you can change your stars. In this movie, P.T. Barnum, Hugh Jackman's character, he wanted more out of life. He was never satisfied. He wanted more. He wanted other people's approval. And sometimes that can be a very dangerous thing. It's good to have goals. And when you attain a goal, have another goal. Shoot for another goal. But you have to assess, why do you want what you want? Is it actually for you? Is it for your family? Or is it some other nebulous reason? Do you need other people's approval? He learned the hard way that after he had all that he had and then lost all that he had, all that he needed was right in front of him the whole time. Sometimes you don't need the entire world to love you. Just one person or in his case, his wife and his 2 kids, just a few people. His community, his performers at the circus, they loved him. God knows why, because he was pretty shitty to them. But they understood that he had a vision. He was chasing something. He had to exercise his own personal demons. And they said, regardless of you being an asshole, we understood that you saw something in us and gave us a life that we didn't have, that we couldn't see. We were stuck wallowing in the pity of our own situations. And you helped us to shine higher than we ever thought that we'd be able to. And we became family. And for that, we thank you. And we still believe in you. At the end of the day, what else could you want? This is Rakai Steve, new from the Ville. Make sure that you share this as much as possible. Hit the like button and leave me some comments on what you thought about what I said, what you thought about this movie. Changing your stars. Is it possible? Can you change your stars? Can you become brand new? And if for some reason you haven't subscribed yet, I get it. It's never too late though. Hit the button, subscribe, watch the other videos I have. Maybe something that you see will resonate with you. Remember, at the end of the day, everything I watch, we use this, but it's even more important to use this.